Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the premiere of Ignite Your Wow. I'm Kellen Ann, and I'm here to ignite your wow. Today, we have two sponsors. The first one is Cards That Wow. You all know that's my passion in my business, creating designs that are unique to your brand, personal or corporate. And when you send that card, it will make the person that receives it go wow and remember you. So, appreciate your support in that. And our second sponsor is Blue Sky Video Productions. And I'm going to bring Bruce on because he is kind enough to offer us a tip of the day as far as live stream. And he's my producer and my friend.
Hi. So let's give some names here. There you go. Actually, because we are okay. Because what happens when you put up the banner like this, the names go away.
Oh,
We kind of knew that.
So we're learning something.
Yep. So I am Bruce Himmelblau, Blue Sky Video Productions, YouTube strategist. At least that's what I was in a previous life. 2020 was definitely a game changer. So after we working with Kellen, and she kind of spurred me onto doing more of these TD technical directors events, where if you're a host without the either inclination of doing your own technical, call me. We can help. So that way you can spend all your time concentrating on your content and on your guests without having to do what I've been doing here, which is pushing all the buttons and being distracted. So you get the most out of it, your guests get most out of it, and your viewers get the most out of it.
So the tip of the day is hire Bruce.
There you go.
You're awesome. I appreciate you, and you're not just my producer, but you're my friend, and you do a fabulous job, and you sure make me look good.
And then and then coming up next is Randy Chafee. I think, Randy, if you want to put a link to your show in the show notes or in the chat, after this show's over, we can send our audience over to you.
Yes.
So thank you.
Thank you, Bruce.
We are BSVP TV across all social platforms.
Awesome.
Thank you.
And I also need to remind you all, if you are watching today live, please let me know where you're watching from. If you're watching this on the replay, please, type in their replay, and be sure to follow us on. I have a YouTube channel for Cards That Wow, and we also have a Facebook page. So please be sure to subscribe and follow. So today, my very first wow guest is a wow guy. I met him, I think it's like 13 years ago, and he was a big shot corporate. I know, I was just so impressed by him. He speaks 5 languages. He's a sales genius. And what made me wow right now about him is that he is following a passion, and he gave up the corporate life, and he decided that he wanted to work with his heart and help people. He is a career transition expert, and my friend, welcome, Malcolm Evans.
And a very good morning to you, and a happy 2021. I'm so excited to be on you. This has been the inaugural.
Yes,
episode,
you are the rebranded show.
It's always good to get in early.
Yes.
Bitcoin. Yeah,
so like I was telling everybody, I thought you were wow from the day I met you, and the fact that you left corporate world and followed your passion is so amazing to me, because a lot of people, they're like the money, but I think what I've learned with myself and watching you is, with the passion comes the money. You don't have to work for it, because when you shift to helping, your whole world changed, doesn't it?
Exactly. And before I even comment, I just want to thank you, for your gracious invitation to be part of this. What you're doing is an example to others, and I'm, going back to where we met, and how we've known each other over the years and so on. You've made some significant changes, and now you have you're in your groove. I can see it.
Aren't I better?
Yeah, yeah, a deeper groove.
New and
But it comes through in people's attitude and their face. They're smiling, and I used to have a cousin that sadly passed away, and my parents always said she had smiling eyes. And this is the eyes tell the story with people, and yeah, I can see you're on fire with this. So anyway, thank you so much.
So let's talk about your wow. What made you, the transition, and then we can get into how you help people and how you wow them and help them find their wow.
Yeah, and sometimes I think back and think, how did I get here? And how I got here was through choices. If I could just sort of do the rewind, the Wayback Machine. I'm from Wales. Grew up in a pub. My parents always encouraged me to do everything. I had tennis rackets and squash rackets and running shoes and rugby boots and this and horses and blah. It went on and on and on. I had two heroes, my dad and John Wayne, and both of them instilled this sort of spirit in me of go west, young man. And well, unfortunately, when the time was right, I found out that I was really bad at geography and I didn't go west. I ended up going south and ended up in Africa. But from an early age, I had lots of opportunity and I was spoiled with choice. And I got to a point later in life where, done the corporate thing and reflecting back on some of those earlier influences, my parents were getting on. They had some health issues, and I was here in the US, and I worked for a great little company, and I'd left the big corporate world and moved into a smaller corporate. It was still a couple of $1 billion company, but it was still family owned. And I decided one day that I needed to be back in Wales more often. And at the time, I was working on business development and corporate development and helping growing sales teams and so on. And I thought, look, I can do this for myself and I can have the benefit of a foot in each country. I can travel back. And, so when you have a business, you can do a lot of these things and, you can get the tax man to pay for it. So there's a lot of learning was going on there. So that's what I did. I made a choice in would be 2013 to cut my ties with corporate as an employer, but not as a customer. So
Awesome. Yeah. So now what you're doing is you're transitioning people that like maybe they're being laid off or unexpectedly sometimes, or they just want to change their career and follow their passions. Can you explain that process a little bit?
And at the beginning of this, the last couple of days, looking at reflection, how did I get to where I am? And I was thinking, well, when everything started to really get serious at the beginning of last year, I took a breath. I said, I've prepared for this. This is the moment that I've had experience with over the years. I really dug in and did some rebranding and so on. I was focusing on growing sales teams and working with companies and individuals. And I have a coach. I'm a big part of what I do is business coaching. So as a coach, if you haven't got a coach, you're really not doing the right thing. And through a little bit of brainstorming, she said, "You just need to show people how to never interview again." I said, "That's exactly what I do." Not that I'm anti-paycheck, but I've been prepared all of my life with this mindset of self-determination. And this is what my parents and John Wayne gave me, was you can do it yourself. If you believe in yourself, you have confidence, you have skills, you don't panic, and you have something you can share with others and solve problems. So that's really what I do. Whenever I work with a customer or a company, or I work with an individual or myself, I think of, if there's a problem, how can it be? How can I leverage the skills, capabilities, network, and so on, and solve that problem?
So you don't just listen and yep, you got a problem and identify the problem. You actually help solve the problem.
That's what it's about.
That's
And
awesome.
and the corporate thing, the transition for so many, it you know, I'm I didn't get, you know, how can I put it? The growing up, with all the influences from Marilyn Monroe and whoever, there was the blondes have more fun. Well, the blonder I've got, if I want to go back into the corporate world, it's tougher and tougher.
Mhm.
And there are plenty of statistics out there showing that people that leave the corporate world in their early to late 50s struggle to step back in with the same amount of benefits, the same
Mhm.
career perks, and the same sort of meaningful employment. And this is so sad because many are becoming unemployable. And this is
Mhm.
the time of their life where they should be helping their kids finish up in college, paying
Right.
their mortgage off, squirreling money away for a comfortable retirement. And now they find themselves on the back foot, um, working at places like Home Depot and Lowe's,
Mhm.
which are not bad. But it's not what they had, and there's a hole left in people. The ambition is there, but there's nothing sort of satisfying it. So,
Well,
sorry, go on.
no. I was just saying, and it also that's where you lose your confidence as an adult. You get removed from your cushy office and benefits and company car and gas card and then all of a sudden you're unemployable.
Hmm.
And so I imagine when by the time you get the person, you have a lot of confidence building in your job.
Yeah, and there's an awful lot of this, and I work with people from I grew up in a working class. I ended up in the boardrooms of places like Anglo American and De Beers and Ford and BMW and other places like this. So I'm comfortable. I can move and
Mhm.
transition. Many get identified by the role that they had or the title they had. So when I meet with people, I say, well, what do you do? Well, I'm a VP of this. Okay, great. Is that what you're looking for? Yes. Okay. How long have you been looking? Well, it's been 6, 8 months and whatever like that. And you've not found anything? No. So look, you've got to start disconnecting yourself from a title that you once had. And
Mhm.
start, and it can get very deep into this about really understanding what that person did and in the eyes of others what problems they solved. Did they send people to come and knock on your door and say, look, I've got this specific problem. I've been told
Mhm.
you're the only guy in the building that can help me with this. Did that happen? They said, yeah. There we start to
That's
focus.
genius. That's
And
genius.
and just got to just get this one thought out. I've seen some pretty extreme cases, and went through one a few years ago where a gentleman had became a good friend, and he was always been a VP, very senior in an organization. Something happened anyway. He exited package, and he was good. Even though he was offered jobs, they weren't of the same stature and the same um, gave him the same feeling of worthiness and whatever, and he turned them down. So instead of being the VP, he would have ended up as a director of something or a manager or something. No, it wasn't for him. And this went on and on and on, and he started to get stale, and then started dependency on different things, and then wellness issues and so on, and then it became health issues. Anyway, long story short, he lost his health insurance, had stuff going on, and an untimely death at 58. And it
Wow.
happened within a week.
Wow.
And I saw the gradual decline of that man from somebody that was very upright and powerful and confident and so on, and things slowly got peeled away. And
Mm.
I can only believe that ego was driving that.
Mhm.
With this change, we have to adapt. And that's a whole another thing, the
Right.
ability to adapt. Sorry.
Well, I know that COVID has been really bad and a lot of people have suffered and died but it was kind of a reset. and it forced me to slow down because I was going in a bunch of different directions and my thoughts were everywhere. And it was like my higher power saying, okay, Kellen, you need to take a break. You need to stop. You need to think. What is your passion? What do you want to do? What will drive you and make you? I mean, I was so excited to wake up today because I'm interviewing Malcolm and he's a wow. So I think when I talk to people, not that I'm a coach or anything like that, but I say, you know what, you need to reset. Just sit back, be quiet, be alone, turn everything off and journal or write what is it that gives you passion and makes you happy and you're smiling when you're working. I mean, when I make my cards, I'm smiling, and I imagine that the reset is a very important part of your process.
It is, and the realization that look, there is change. And when I give talks and online things or wherever, I always cite the cases of the. I used to belong to something a bit like Rotary, and it was called Round Table International. And there's such an analogy between them and the Marines. Not only the amount of beer that they would drink, I'm not sure. Anyway, that's another story. But they had this same motto: adapt and overcome.
Mm-hmm.
And with Round Table, it was adopt something, adapt it, and improve it, and hand it over for the next person. And this is the one thing that I think that has kept me buoyant and enthusiastic is my ability to adapt. Mm-hmm. And there's a whole bunch of other different things about decision making and choice. So many people I come across with just are scared. And I get it. They don't trust themselves. They don't trust an employer. They don't trust what's on the television. And this puts them into a state of paralysis about making decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And then going back to my friend I mentioned, things can begin the downward spiral. I'm not saying that was a really dramatic and very, very sad case. But I've got a small book of things like that maybe not as drastic, but certainly as impactful on families and lifestyles and futures.
So, have you written a book?
I have.
Okay, let's talk about it.
It's not going to be a bestseller, but it's. I believe that everyone has got three things in them. They can write a book, they can run a marathon, and they can start a business.
Oh, you've done all.
I've done all. Okay, and there's nothing like crying in public for all of them. Okay, and the how I came out of engineering, because my background is how I ended up traveling from different countries or wherever. It was in the brewing industry, automation in big breweries and so on. And a friend of mine came to visit us one day, and he drove up in a really nice new car. And I said, "Hey, Terry, where'd the car come from? You had a big pay raise?" He said, "No, I changed my job. I've got a sales job." And I said, "They gave you a car?" And he said, "Yeah, they gave me a new car." So, title of my book, out on Kindle, it's one baby step, is called the Simple Selling: The Fastest Way to a New Car.
I love it. I'm gonna get it. I'm sorry I didn't know about it beforehand.
I'll send you a copy. I'm embarrassed to sell it because it's a lot of waxing lyrical and stories and stuff like that.
No, I think it's going to be amazing. Everything you do is pretty much amazing.
Well, thank you. But everybody can be amazing if they take a step like you have done. And so many others is be bold. Captain Kirk said, we're going boldly where no man has gone before. Well, all we have to do nowadays is understand our situation, look at our choices, and make a decision.
And not be afraid to make a decision.
Correct.
The thing that held me back the most was I didn't trust my intuition. And once I started trusting my intuition, I made decisions, and there's no stopping me. So I'm trying to help, people, bring people like you on that can, listen to your story and be inspired by it and take that step to either go get a coach or talk to somebody and change their path, because we can all change our path.
And and this would be a question to you, out of the early important decisions you made and the subsequent decisions, do you find you made decisions quicker?
Yeah, I think things out more.
Mm. And it comes from experience. Well, I've
Mhm.
done that. Yeah, it didn't quite work, but I know the next time. I don't need to be scared of a change. Don't need to be scared of making a decision because I'm armed with all this experience and information and knowledge already.
Mhm.
And you know, back in the 80s, I think, when I started reading business books and wherever, Japan was bubbling then and so on, and the average Japanese millionaire had been bankrupt like 5 or 7 times, and in their culture, that is something very, very bad, you know. But they rose through it. They
Mhm.
came through it. So, you've got to just dust yourself off and get back up and get back in the game because no one's going to win it for you. You have to do it
Yeah.
yourself.
Now, I believe that I have a coach as well, and I believe it's very important. Tell me what has the coach done for you?
Well, the coach has done what I do for others, and that's pretty much just tell them as it is. No candy coating. Look, from what you've said, this is my initial reaction. And it's not about defending anything. It's about saying, well, you could be right. I could be doing this a little bit way a little bit different. We get too close to the trees. We
Mhm.
get too close to the emotions. And one thing that I've always believed in is the ability to look at a situation at any time and not react, but think and then respond. And I always like to understand the etymology of words, and I've always believed that respond started with pense, the French
Mhm.
word for think. So
Exactly.
take a breath. Don't just jump at something. Think, look, I'm gonna. This is how I'm going to approach something, and then learn from that. If it worked, keep repeating it. If it
Mhm.
if it didn't work, it might just be the timing.
Mhm.
There's no bad ideas.
You're right. And, a lot of people forget that you learn more from listening than speaking. And that was a lesson I learned, luckily, early on. And by listening, you hear the problems, and sometimes they don't recognize that problem. But when you hear the problem, you have time to step back and think, how can I
Mm-hmm.
solve that problem? And when you become a problem solver, that's when people start coming to you for inspiration, right? Do you believe that?
Exactly, yes, and culturally, in the Western world, we're conditioned to be employees.
Mhm.
And well, what does an employee do? An employee solves problems.
Mhm.
In any large company or in any company structure, um, if the man that started the company could do everything, he'd keep all the money for himself, wouldn't he?
Right.
So, but he realizes, no, there are areas of expertise that I just can't manage, or too time consuming, or are specialized, or wherever. It's worth this amount to my business to hire somebody to
Mhm.
do that. So everyone innately is a problem solver.
Right.
But what they don't have is the confidence and belief that they can do it for themselves. And fortunate for many, you know, 2020 has been, as you said, this big reset, and people are now, well, I can't trust an employer anymore.
Mhm.
And, I've got to start doing something for myself. And I had a great little text from a person I met back in March. I was doing a presentation at a job working or job networking event here in Atlanta, quite a big one. And this person, you know, walked across the room afterwards and said, "Look, you said something really interesting there. We should talk later, afterwards, and so on." Anyway, it turned out she had a great little job, but she was concerned about it. I'm going to
Mm.
lose this sometime. There's a lot of change around. I said, "Well, okay, go off and just, you know, create something for yourself in the background." just as an insurance policy. You're going to learn new skills, you're going to get confidence, it's going to be fun, you've got a choice to do what you want, and you're not under any pressure. And anyway, this text I had in mid-December, I had an event or whatever online, I sent something out, and she said, thank you so much, that conversation. I've started this online store. I do these exclusive designs for people. I'm loving it. I am thinking about leaving my job. And then
Nice.
she put a PS. She said, I bet somebody else is thinking about me leaving also, but I'll hang on for that and get the package.
Yeah.
So there was, there was a bit of light-hearted confidence in there because she'd done it now. She
Well, it's a
knew it
complete
was.
mind shift. She went from being afraid. Yeah, that's amazing. Well, I have somebody with us in the green room who I'd love for you to chat with. He's another friend from my Megamind group. This is Ray Campbell. Let's have Bruce bring him in. Hey, it's the Ray Soup. Thank you so much for being here, Ray. I don't know if you want, do you have a question, or do you want Malcolm to talk about something specifically? I know that you are, you're kind of trying to decide what you want to do right now, right?
Right. The summation of this, I am 62 years young. I was in the industry for 27 years.
But you're a little low. Can you turn up your volume a little bit?
Let's see. Oh, you know what? Let me see. Trying it with my Bluetooth.
There it is.
I can shut these. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I was in the industry of lighting, the lighting world, where we were consultants for engineers, architects. I was basically a project manager in the field, as well as a salesperson to close deals with contractors, wholesalers. I spent a lot of time training and coaching in that time with distributors, as well as contractors, helping them close deals too with their customers. And then prior to that, I was during that early part of my career, I was a Dale Carnegie coach. I was actually a licensed instructor. I graduated college with an education degree, so I would say I'm a teacher at heart.
Yeah.
And I always found that most of the jobs I did, I became the educator, not so much the salesman, but the source of information. When I announced to my family that I was going in lighting, they went, "Isn't that where engineers are?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, so I always joked with the engineers. I said, "Guys, I have a PE degree. However, mine is not professional engineer; it's physical education." So
Okay.
I was a hyper major. March 31st hit, and all of a sudden, the guy that had hired asked me to come on board his company to do a turnaround and build the territory, which we did in 3 years, from $500,000 to almost $4 million in revenue a year.
Hey, Ray, are you holding your microphone?
Nope. Are you hearing rumbling?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me do this. I'm going to shut off my hearing aids.
Sorry.
Apologize for the handicap here.
That's all right.
Can you hear me?
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, but I can't hear you. Hold on. That's. Not sure what happened to the sound on the computer. Yeah, I can't hear a word. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
There you are.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Problem solved.
Yeah.
I just want everyone to be able to hear you.
Yeah. The March 31st, they closed the office. And I had been doing on the side, you just talked about a woman who was doing, call it a side hustle, use the Gittimer language, a credit card processing, because I had spent part-time weekends traveling the countryside out here in South Dakota, building Catholic radio. And through that event of raising $1.5 million, we found a credit card processing company that was willing to donate 10% of their profits every month. And I went, really? Yeah, every month. And still to this day, 5 years later, they're donating their profit every month to Catholic radio. So I went, I kind of like this, which is kind of funny because my original career started when I got out of education. I ended up looking for a job in the early 80s because teachers were not being hired back in the early 80s. I was a credit card collector, and I was pretty good at it. And because I was nice, I was able to talk to people and find them, and I through that grew into sales. It became a sales career because all I did was ask a lot of questions. And as Kellen mentioned a minute ago, I listened. Outside of the house, I'm a very good listener. Inside the home, not so much.
So
That's
do you
the
know,
summation.
so do
So
you know,
right, go
oh,
ahead.
I was like, do you know what your passion is, or do you know, maybe
Hmm.
Malcolm can ask you some questions and we
Yeah,
can.
do I know what it is? Yeah, to love, know, and serve people. That's my passion.
Well, Ray, it's so nice to meet you. I had an uncle called Ray, and
Oh,
I knew him for 50 years and didn't know until the end of his days that his name wasn't Ray. Um, it was Reginald Arthur Young. It was an acronym. So we grew up. He was,
Oh, sure.
he was the TLA. So anyway, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, and the long ago and far away, I did an apprenticeship as as an electrician, so I'm familiar with lighting infrastructures.
Oh, okay.
I'm familiar with the processes of manufacturing, installing, applying, and all of these things. So I think it's always good to talk from just a little point of understanding and wherever. Um, Whenever I start this process, and I've got something that I call 100 days of action. It's generally the first 20 or 30 days are a lot of conversations, a lot of talking about. It's almost like, what is the thing you want to do when you grow up? Okay, and coming back to an earlier comment, we were so often conditioned to be employees. We're so often conditioned that we would drop into a job and that ends up becoming a career, and that's all we do.
Right.
So hearing what you did there about fundraising for the Catholic Church and so on, well, that it couldn't be any further away than being a lighting consultant from that. But you are shedding light on others. So this is the place that I try to get people to go to is the realization is like, this ain't a bad thing. This is probably the opportunity you've been waiting for, because if you can't get a job, you've got an excuse not to go after that job. You've got an excuse now to go off and do the things that you want to do. So, you've got a dream board, a vision board.
No, I do not.
Okay, right. Dream of getting a vision board, all right? And then go get one, all right? And then start sticking some things up there that really excite you. And I remember a conversation some years ago, and I told this story many times of a young lady that I was in lots of conversations with, and we really weren't getting anywhere. And I said, okay, look, we're gonna talk tomorrow, and it's your job today to go away and come up with the 3 things you want to do. Okay, if you could, and nobody told you you couldn't, and tell me what they are tomorrow. Otherwise, we just can't continue going down this. And she said, I'm going to be with my daughter, I'm going to be with my animals, and I'm going to do something that's going to benefit the doggies that I love. And that stuck with me. And she went off and followed that. Now, everybody's got dreams still inside them. What people don't have is actions and decisions. They're scared of making decisions. Mm-hmm. So when I'll sit down with somebody, I say, there's no quick fix to this. We've got to get to know each other. We've got to get on the right frequency. Mm-hmm. One case, I was working with a fella sort of November time, and he's a musician, very accomplished, speaks a bunch of different languages. As a side gig, doing translations. He's done lots of work at Disney and so on like that. Very accomplished. And we were doing some brainstorming, and he said, "Look, I'm at that age. I've got some illnesses, and things are not working out for me. I need to do things from home or wherever." And I think in about 15 minutes and a cup of coffee or wherever, we were just shooting the breeze and wherever, we came up with something for singing birthday cards. So he's going to start at A and make a list and go onto Google, find the most common names for boys and girls, and create just a 15 or 20-second very happy birthday, Kellen Ann, very happy birthday, Ray, and make it, write a personalized little song and just keep changing the name as you go along. And this was one thing we came up with. Another thing was go out and go look on people's websites, I said to him. Look at if you want to understand what a company is about and what they want you to know, it'll be on their website. Go there, go pick up some of the high spots, create a little jingle for them, and then video it and send it to them. So we came up with like 5 or 6 different ideas that were around a theme. They weren't directly connected to what he was doing. And I said, you've got the ability to now do this in all these other languages. You've been sat on this little gold mine, but you've just never had you've been too close to the problem to think about the things that you want to do and you can have fun with. So I would say, this is the place that I often start, and we just talk, we get to know each other about, So I'd recommend to everybody, get a vision board first, get some ideas of the things you want to do, and start, knocking them off. Do you live in South Dakota?
Yes, I do. You bet.
Like beautiful up there. So
it's awesome. Yeah. No, I moved here in '76 and I haven't left since. Yeah. I'm originally a New Yorker, and yes, I'm a Yankee fan and a lover of pizza.
Okay.
Oh, yay, pizza.
So if I could just ask a couple of things without putting you on the spot, what are the things that you've not done that you would really want to get off your list?
Build a business of my own where I'm helping small businesses and medium-sized businesses grow, which is one of the reasons I like the idea of the credit card processing world, because it put me into that environment where, credit card processors are a dime a dozen. I'll call it you understand this as former electrician, it's the lighting world of banking, and the lighting world in the electrical world is on the bottom of the totem pole for people because of everything that's shady that's been done. But I like the group that I'm with, and I like what we do differently. I just haven't been very good at it lately, because getting knocked off the horse like I did threw me. I was very, very shocked how it threw me for a huge loop in the ego or pride world, if you will, with that. And took me a lot longer, but this group that we're a part of, Kellen and I, helped a lot. My bride has been overly patient. Because here's the short story of it, Malcolm. We closed on a house in February to move up to Sioux Falls from a small town by the river to be closer to my work. Well, March hit. Now we have 2 houses, no income. No panic.
Yeah. Well, the one thing, look, we're in the greatest country that ever was, in the greatest time of opportunity there ever has been. And why? Because there is a state of flux. Things will shake out. And in the world of corporate sales where I was, and if you're dealing with large corporations, change is what you want. And if they won't change themselves, you've got to stimulate change. But you've got to be careful, because when you create change, you create opportunity for many others. So you need unique selling points. You need unique differentiators. What you described there about starting businesses and taking them to the next level, that's pretty much what I do. There's no absolute magic fix. There's a lot of deliberation about where the places to start are at, and then to keep doing and see what grows. Multiple streams of income. Don't get boxed in. You have skills. I spent a lot of time in Africa. There's an awful lot of flux going on, countries collapsing and governments changing and things like
Right.
that. So people migrating. And I worked with a Portuguese guy from Angola. And he always said to me, and he was always very immaculately dressed. He was an absolute gentleman. He said, if I have a briefcase, and this was days before cell phones, he says, if I have a phone and I've got a notebook, I can feed myself. And
Wow.
that always stuck with me because he had confidence, he had network, he had the ability to communicate, he could communicate in different languages. Again, there was the multiplier. And so all he needed was the product, he had the passion, he needed the people, and then
Right.
understand what the problem was to be solved. If you want to chat sometime, be my guest. We can just throw some ideas around.
I would appreciate that.
Yeah.
You bet. In fact, it's kind of funny that this conversation's happening this week because, as I shared with our group yesterday, my wife and I prayed for God to open the doors that need to be open and close the ones that need to be closed, and please no gray area. Well, since that time and since our conversations yesterday at noon, I have scheduled two interviews. One's for a job, one's for a 1099 contract.
Mm.
And 2 minutes before I came into the room here, the green room, I have a voicemail from a friend, but also a manager who's it'd be my third interview sometime Thursday this week,
Nice.
and another 1099 contract, if you will, possibility on Friday. So as a result of all of that conversations that we've been having, and then hearing some ideas from you, I like that multiple streams because that two of those could add to what I'm doing and not conflict with each other. I hadn't thought about it that way.
Well, there's two ways we can do this, Kellen. I can give Ray my number, or you can go to the website, send me
I can connect the two of you on Messenger.
Yeah.
That's okay.
That'd be awesome. Thank you.
Please do that. And
Thank you.
And as I say, Ray, hey, look, us blondes, we've got to stick together. And and it's almost like when you buy a red car, you notice red car everywhere. There's an awful lot of blonde hair out there on men's chins. Nowadays.
What I always tease my daughters and my wife with those, I see red hair because I have pictures to prove. When I was 22, I had red hair and the goatee and the sideburns down to here.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it was red, and I still look in the mirror and see red hair. So I don't know,
we've got all 20 in our head, and just do things that enable the body to keep up with that thinking. But so nice to meet you, and
nice to meet you. I look forward to chatting with you.
Yeah.
Ray, thank you so much for sharing with us today, and I know great things are in your future.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a great day, guys.
You too. So Bruce has a question. What is the gig economy and its effect on transitioning on the transitioning entrepreneur?
Whoa. Well, that's a great question because I actually put it like a whole 1 hour webinar on this very subject a little while ago. And the gig economy is the thinking that everybody that even sort of considered the possibility of their job going away. And instead of getting out in front of the curve and heeding some warnings, have waited till it arrived and then are trying to react to that. So as coming back to my comment earlier, everyone's got a book in them, a marathon and a business. Thinking like an entrepreneur is pretty much what the gig mindset is about. The differences between the gigsters and the corporate person is the gig person is very open to learning new skills. He's very open to networking. He's flexible. He's adaptive. He's sharing. We look at the corporate world, okay? People keep their heads down. They say that if you want to find a job, you should network with people. Well, people that are inside of companies now are worried about networking with people outside because it's introducing risk to them. And also it's introducing competition. So when we contrast the differences, the mindset of the corporate thinker is one of safety and security. And let's draw this analogy now. Imagine you're on the tee or you're at the 18th hole and there's a whole lot of water in front of you, the corporate guy is probably going to play short and then chip around. The gig guy is going to blast it, and if he can get the ball across the water, it may fall in a couple of times or wherever, but he's learning along the way. He can't afford to play short. He's got to be fearless, because they trust in themselves. They trust in their skills, their capability, the ability to learn new things. So hopefully this is sort of shed a little bit of light on it. But one thing isn't going away. That the gig economy may have been in the shadows, the problem that Ray solves. It's very much in the limelight now. And what needs to move quickly and at that pace of light is the employee mindset. Otherwise, people are going to get left behind in the wake. If the biggest single thing that I would get is when I experienced conversations with people and say, "What's the one problem you solve?" I do this, do this. Well, do you think you can go and solve that for somebody else? Yes, but I couldn't see myself selling something. Okay, why? Oh, no. It's beneath me. Like, that's really what it is. It's an ego thing. Well, no, I kind of believe is, look, you don't have enough confidence to believe you can do it. You've sold yourself. Are you married? Yes. You sold somebody trusted you there. Did you get a job before? Yes. You've sold your services. Okay. Did you belong to a church? Yes. Well, you've sold something there. Politicians are selling ideas and so on. So to be successful in the gig economy, you've got to believe in yourself. You cannot be fearless, because you just people are gonna get hurt. They're gonna wither, and the last thing you want anywhere in the middle of that is stinking thinking, ego. Just give yourself a slap up the side of the head, whoever those stinking thinkers are, and just get on and do it. Nobody cares about you apart from yourself.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh, it sounds like such a bitch.
So if you had a superpower, what would it be?
Superpower. Make bigger decisions quicker.
Nice. I like that. And this is the part of the show where I let you can talk about whatever you want, something you're passionate about, how you think so, how people, a wow tip, whatever you like. The floor is yours.
Okay. The one thing that every morning I wake up and I'm grateful. And the thing I'm most grateful for is choice. The choice to do what I want to do. I've got my wellness, I've got my health, I've got financial flexibility. If I want to work, I can work. If I want to take some time and do something else, I can take time and do something else, or whatever. Probably quality of life is gonna sort of, the longevity is going to be there. And if that's one saving grace out of 2020, is people, if they de-stressed a little bit, they're probably going to live a bit longer. Maybe they won't have any money to live longer, but they, so I believe, I think it was a Garth Brooks song, said that sometimes the unanswered prayers are the things you want, and
thank goodness for unanswered prayers.
Exactly. And for so many, last year may have been in, whatever they've gone through, and if anybody's struggling, I really feel for them and always here to help and whatever like that. But it could be the kick in the ass to wake them up. Get off, go do something else, because to your point, this is the big reset, and it ain't going back. It's going in one direction. If there are companies and they've done away with people, or everybody's working from home, do you think they need the offices? No, they don't need that. Things are going to constrict. When people are out of the office, nobody sees them, they are gradually going to go and not be replaced. With the gig economy, and this very, very quick thing, one thing I talk about is AI. I spent 30 years in automation in different industries, putting robots in and computers to replace people. We're at the point now where there is a justification to bring in AI a lot quicker. okay? Because
Exactly.
computers, they don't get sick. They keep working. They can work from anywhere. They're less trouble, and on and on and on. So be aware of your, people's surroundings. Almost like be a chess player. Think of what could happen, and then try and, take some proactive moves to prepare yourself for eventualities. It would be my bit of advice to anybody. And again, it's choice. You can choose to do it. You can choose not to do it. Hey.
Well, you are definitely a great inaugural guest of WOW, and you are an amazing person. And I'm so grateful for you being on the show today. If people want to get a hold of you, where can they find you?
Okay. A couple of ways, and I encourage everybody to go to my tongue-in-the-cheek website, neverinterviewagain.com, just one big word. It's a big long word for a big long problem nowadays. And there's some information there. There's emails, there's phone numbers, and so on. I'll give my number out. It's 770-330-8642. I always respond to people, but I encourage everyone to go check out the website. There's some gifts out there. If they contact me, I can show them how to take advantage of them. For this month, I'm actually giving away something that's very close to my heart, and that's just an unlimited access to an online learning management system. And I use this. Costs hundreds and hundreds of dollars when I work with companies and individuals. I'm giving it away free for the whole of January. And I think there's like 130 different courses on there. If you can't learn a skill, and if you can't read, and you can't take advantage of that, then, if you're always doing what you always did, you're always going to get what you always got. So, hey, there's my offer. As again, bam. Malcolm Evans, yeah, I'm out there. I go at the pace of everybody else. They go slow, I go slow. They go fast, hey, whoa, we're gonna have some fun.
Well, thank you so much. And if you would like to contact him, you can DM me, and I can get the two of you connected as well. If you like what you heard today, please subscribe and share. And thank you, Blue Sky Video Productions, for being my awesome producer. And remember, cards that wow when you want to make your brand wow your clients. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Okay, thank you so much, Kelly.